Dum 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 dum. Hello everyone. Go and lie down, Ellie. Sorry about that. My dog is yeah, not lying down and being a good girl like she usually is. She is now. Hi everyone. I just want to wait for a few people to jump into the chat because this is a totally impromptu live stream because I've got a lot to do this weekend. So can't see anybody in the chat, and I can't see somebody say something. Oh, realised I've got Hey, good dog. Hey, I bought you. She's still a good girl. She is. Sorry about this. I've just got to change the title, but not the title. The preview picture to this stream because it's still the previous one. So, hi Nigel. Afternoon. Yeah, evening here. It's 9:20 here. Here we are. Just change this thumbnail because it is the old thumbnail that I've got. Yeah. Be perfect now. Hi everyone. Bernie was pro-war. His campaign manager just voted against withdrawal of troops from the Middle East. That doesn't necessarily make him pro-war. He might just be voting against the way Trump withdrew, which is totally different. What's the subject of the day? I've literally just come for an update of what I'm going to be doing over the next few days. 2 tears in a bucket. Just to tell you what I'm going to be doing. The updates on Chris Williamson, on the early day motion that lots of people have sent messages about. I'll get into that in a second. Tulsi was the only anti-war candidate in the Democratic debate, says brilliantly wonderful. I don't think Tulsi is anti-war. She's anti-regime change war, and there's a difference, isn't there? Tulsi barely got 10 minutes. She didn't get 7, mate. She didn't get 7 minutes in that debate. That's her own fault. Honestly, it's her own fault. She needs to be more forceful. She needs to be... she's doing good. She's doing well. But she needs to do more of it. But the debate moderators, they did rig things and they did rig things against the progressives, didn't they? 420 here, says Robert Tierney. Good on you, mate. I hope you blaze one up. He spoke against withdrawal in the debate itself. He was also pushing the Russian narrative. Yeah, he sucks on the Russian narrative and Venezuela as well. He sucked on. That's for sure. It's one of the reasons why I like Tulsi rather than Bernie. But then I don't live in America and I've got healthcare, so I get why people would go for Bernie over Tulsi. I did have a theory today that Bernie is using Tulsi as a weapon. I'm not sure whether this is a theory I should really start looking at, but it does seem to me I called it before the debate on Twitter. People who follow me on Twitter will know I called it that she would go after Warren. And the reason being is because I think she's going after the people that it would be maybe thought of as too negative for Bernie to go after Warren, for instance. Warren was saying Bernie and I a lot in the debate. She wants to, get with Bernie. I'm not sure whether Bernie going after her would be a good move for him. I think somebody asked me that on the last live stream I did, and I was like, not sure about that. But Tulsi going after her, that's a different thing. And obviously Tulsi went after her, and she tried twice, and twice they cut her off and went to a break. So I enjoyed that live stream, by the way. 3 hours long, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to you guys, even though you couldn't see what I was seeing. You had to tune in. But I've actually been editing a video today on it, and just UK guy watches the Democratic debate, because for 3 hours I was literally just pulling my hair out. Literally pulling my hair out. Tulsi's the only Democratic candidate who wants to drop charges against Assange. Yes, correct. And I honestly thought that I honestly thought that she would be bringing that up in that debate, but she didn't. Did you see the tweets? And oh, look, if she was not the number one Google candidate again, Nigel Solar says. Yeah, she was number one Google candidate again. There is weight behind that. I know a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't mean anything, but there's weight behind it. There's a lot behind it, I think. I've always said, put her in a room with people, have people listen to what she says, and they'll love her. And I think that that's what's happening on the campaign. She in the areas, I think it was New Hampshire. She's polling really well in New Hampshire, and obviously that's where she's been campaigning in the early states, and she's polling well in those states. So we'll see when it starts. We'll see when the primary starts. These debates, honestly, they're a joke. They're a joke. It's not a debate. It's not a debate. I mean, at one stage the question got to, can you name an unlikely friendship that you have? I remember saying on the stream, what are you going to ask next? What's their favourite colour? Not exactly wonderful reporting. Medicare for all is a disaster waiting to happen, says Abdul Alif Kadir Muhammad. Hi, Abdul. Medicare for all is extremely minimum healthcare assistance, and if people want it, they will get what they deserve. I live in a place with healthcare. Yet they don't have it in America. They've got big pharma care, as I called it in my video the other day. People who live in America and have never seen the way other countries run their healthcare system, they are baffled by it, and we don't understand it. I said something to somebody the other day who was talking about Joe Biden and how Joe Biden keeps saying nobody says how much it's going to cost. The answer is half, Joe. It's going to cost half as much, and everybody's covered. And 35 to 45,000 people are not dying because they're afraid to go and see the doctor because they can't afford it, or hospital, etc. Nobody's going bankrupt because of medical bills. Nobody's going on a GoFundMe to raise money for the medical bills. And nobody's having their entire life, destroyed because they got sick and they were poor. We have a healthcare system in this country that is not great. But it's damn sight better than America, and I've been to both. Americans just cannot get their head around what you have healthcare. You just have operations. What if you get cancer? You get an operation. Yes, you have to get an operation. We go and see a doctor whenever. It's not perfect. The NHS needs more money. The Tories have been defunding it for 7 or 8, nearly a decade, as we know. But it's better than what America have got, because what America have got is a system that makes a few people very rich and lots of people die in a ditch. So yeah, minimum care. The one thing I will say is this: if you roll out Medicare for all in America and you roll out your NHS system, you better know what you're doing when you roll it out, because I've been to America. They're not the fittest people in the world. I think that's me being as nice as possible about the state of their health. I remember I was picked up at the airport from San Francisco. This is going back 2008. And we went to what was it called now? I can't remember the name of the place. It's like a chain of those all-you-can-eat buffet things. And I was starving because I hadn't eaten for 2 days because, I was delayed at the airport. And we went to one of these places, and it was like $8 all you can eat, which was ridiculous. You had every food that you could imagine there. And those old benches with a bench either side, like you get in your classic diners in the movies of America. There was this guy sitting there, and he couldn't stand up and move and walk out the bench. He had to slide across the bench and then get out. And the reason was because he was sitting there on his bench, and he was that fat. The bench was sort of cutting into him, and half his belly was on top of the table. Now, they're really unhealthy, and it's not surprising considering the cost of the food. That was like $8, which is the equivalent back then of about, I don't know, 4 or 5 quid. I had about 4 servings. You just don't get that over here. But then we've got healthcare and better roads, etc., etc. So it's easy payoff and no guns, etc. I was really impressed with America. I love the place. I did. I love the place, but it's got its problems just as any country has. And one of the biggest problems you've got is that you've got a lot of unhealthy people. So if you suddenly get Medicare for all, I can imagine your health system is going to creak under the strain of people who all of a sudden are going to be going to the doctors and the hospital unabashed because they don't have to worry about whether this is going to mean that whether they can eat for the next 3 months because of the medical bills. You see what I mean? Yeah, rolling out a single payer system, it's going to have to be done well if you ever get it. And you're not getting it anytime soon. So there's plenty of time to plan it. Obesity levels are through the roof stateside. Mark Lewis just said that. I concur. I was amazed. In the movies, they're all thin and beautiful with big white teeth and big tits, you know, and healthy and slim. Not the case. Not the case. Most people. I went to Walmart. And it was a big Walmart. And if you walk around any Walmart in America for an hour, you'll quickly see that a lot of people are unhealthy. Our government has been captured by corporate interests. Citizens don't matter. Absolutely agree, and I understand. Right, I just want to, just a quick update, people. I haven't actually, I wanted to do some editing today and release some videos, and I wanted to do my video on Syria, on the Syria situation as well, but it seems that peace has broke out. So I'm going to wait until after the weekend to do that video. To understand the Turkey situation, you have to understand it from all sides. There are no good guys in this situation. None. There are no, oh, we're rooting for the good guys. We're rooting for the Kurds because they're good guys. The Kurds are not good guys, okay? They're not. The Turks are not good guys. The Syrians are not. The Americans are definitely not the good guys. They're not. But you have to be able to explain and look at the historical context as well, especially recent history, to see exactly what's gone on there. And as it's happened, this conflict has there's been a 120-hour ceasefire that Trump is saying he's brokered. Now, I haven't looked into it too much, the ins and outs, is whether he has actually done this. My feeling is, my gut is, that he's done what I said he might do before he was inaugurated. I said that Trump is that volatile that any number of things is possible. It's just as likely that we will go to nuclear war and have World War III as it is that peace breaks out in the Middle East as a result of a byproduct of something that he didn't realise. You see what I mean? You know, he'll solve the Middle East by accident. So I sort of get the feeling that this peace has broken out in northern Syria between the Kurds and the Turks as a result of a happy accident, and Trump is taking credit for it. I'll have to look into it deeper. But the Turks are not the bad guys here. The Americans are not the bad guys here. The Kurds aren't. The Syrians are, etc., etc. They all are the bad guys, as are ISIS and Al Qaeda, of which they get funded by outside actors, etc., etc. And they're the real problem here. So I'm going to try and do a video to try and break it down and see it from every side. There's lots of little things I need to touch on, so I'm going to need to really, draft it out, etc., and write a script for it. But I'll be doing that after this weekend. Now, the reason I'm going to do it after this weekend is because I've had to clean this place today and get ready because I'm going away. I'm going down to London tomorrow because the weekend I'm going to be covering the Extinction Rebellion protests. Now, for those people in the chat, and those people who watch my videos are like, oh my God, it's called Extinction Rebellion, oh, that bunch of blah, blah, blah. Listen, okay? I understand. I've heard what you've said. I've heard your criticisms of my reporting when I went down there. And you know what? A lot of it, I think, is valid. So I'm going to go down there this weekend. Hopefully my phone's okay. And I will be able to stream on it. I broke it. So it's all, there's a crack all the way down it. So I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get just a new screen. I'm hoping I can. I really need an upgrade there, to be honest. But it looks like the video's okay on it, so I'm going to stream live, and I'm going to have a conversation with some people. Hopefully, I'm not the most outgoing person, so this is something that I'm going to have to push myself to do. But bear with me. I'm going to try and have a conversation with these people rather than do what I can see. I can see two sides of the people here with the Extinction Rebellion. I can see the media who only concentrate on the arrests, and that's breeding a more toxic atmosphere. And then there's the people who are against Extinction Rebellion because they think, oh, it's outside interests, it's special interests that really are just trying, their only aim is a carbon tax. I want to take these worries to the people down there and talk to them, talk to the people, because the last time I talked to them, I found that they were all decent human beings who just want a better future for their kids, and they fear for their children's futures. You can't really blame them for that. I've looked into certain things that people were critical of me for, especially with regards to climate change, and again, I think some of those criticisms of me were correct. And climate change is real, right? It's real. It's happening. There are other things that are being manipulated, shall we say? But I'll get into that deeper. So I'm going to cover the Extinction Rebellion process this weekend. I'm going to go down there. The reason I'm going to go down there is because I want to get them in their own voices, and I want to concentrate just on them and their voice rather than the arrests and the violence that is now happening. You may have seen two guys pulled off the top of a train. That they jumped on top of a DLR train, and a crowd of angry people got up there and pulled them off. Now, I said in a tweet, somebody is either going to get seriously hurt here or killed as a result of this. And the reason it's going to be like that is because of the way the media are reporting it. They're not talking to these people. They're not asking. There's no dialogue there. It's just, oh, these are horrible people, and they're affecting people's lives, and who are just trying to put food on the table, etc., etc. I want to go down and speak to them, and I want to try and open a dialogue with them, and hopefully make some inroads in it. Because honestly, I think if the media carry on with the way they are, and if the Extinction Rebellion carry on, and there's no way I think they're going to stop, somebody's going to get either seriously injured or killed as a result of this. And you know what? I know those people. I spoke to many of them in Extinction Rebellion. They're fine with that. Honestly, they're fine with that. There are people who are willing to, within that movement, who are willing to lay down their lives for their children, to actually get some answers and some action from the government. We'll see. Like I say, I hope when I get there, I will be able to, first of all, talk to the people I need to talk to. That'll be difficult enough as it is. And try and open some sort of dialogue. I have a lot of questions that I want to ask. I have a lot of worries that I know that some of you have. And so that's the plan for the weekend. And then, obviously, on Monday, I will be at... I think I've got it set up, actually. Yeah. I will be at... Yeah, it is set up. I will be at Westminster Court. Look at this, by the way. Look at this, David Corn. I'll come back to that in a second. I'll be at Westminster Court on 21st from... I'll probably be there a bit earlier than 9 a.m. to try and get a good spot. But I'll be there all day if need be. Because Julian Assange will be at Westminster Court for his next appearance, covering that. If you can get down there, please get down there and bring a friend. We need as many people as possible. At the moment, we're trying to get through pressure, we're trying to email the court and trying to get them to have the hearing in a bigger court. At the moment, they're having it in a court with a public gallery of just 13 people rather, which obviously isn't enough. Especially you've heard Emmy Bunting, who I spoke to a few months ago. maybe a month ago, about the transcripts, and the transcripts don't seem to match up from previous court appearances. So with that in mind, we need as many people, as many witnesses there as possible to see this court hearing. You know, I've emailed them and tried to get them to change it. So we'll see. But I'll be down there on Monday. This is the biggest threat to press freedom the world has ever seen. The fact that our media are not talking about it tells you all you need to know about them. It tells you all you need to know about them. They're silent on it. Just think about this. This is the biggest threat to press freedom ever. In the history of ever. Biggest threat to press freedom. Donald Trump has signed this, has signed this extradition warrant. He wants him extradited. He's got his reasons for that. But there have been 2 questions from reporters since Assange was dragged out of the embassy in, what was it, April? 2 questions in 8 months or 6 months, whatever it is. 2. Only 2 questions. Biggest case in the history of press freedom, of freedom of the press, of the fourth estate, of ever. And our media, the media in America, have asked him just 2 questions. Boris Johnson, who has, you know, bent over backwards, and our government that bends over backwards for the United States whenever it wants to shove its red, white and blue dick up our ass. You know, we just grab our ankles and say, oh, thank you very much, Yankee friend. That's our special relationship. Yes, we bend over without any lubrication. We threw a journalist in jail in Guantanamo Bay for proving they are war criminals. At the same time, you know, one of their spies' wives comes off a base over here, forgets that she's in the UK, and in Blighter we drive on the left. She drove on the right, killed a kid, buggered off back to America when she promised the police she wouldn't, and now Trump won't let her come back. No, you're not having her back. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if she killed a kid. Doesn't matter. She's a spy's wife. She's a spy's wife. And we look after our spies. You know, it stinks. It really does. And how many questions have our media asked of Boris Johnson in that time since he has been Prime Minister? How many questions have they asked him about the biggest, bar none, case that affects freedom of the press and the fourth estate and democracy itself, if you like, and all the others, journalism, human rights, civil liberties, etc. How many questions has he been asked by our wonderful, world-leading media? Not a single one. 0. They've asked him no questions whatsoever. So, I'm expecting the media to be there on Monday. The last time, I was screaming in their faces. Last time I was screaming in their faces as a group. This time, I think I'm going to go up to them each individually. And I would love it if the woman from ABC News is there. Do you remember the woman? You may have seen my video. Remember when I was yelling at the media outside Westminster Court? Somebody paused it. When I was yelling at the media, somebody from ABC News, a woman there with blonde hair from ABC News, she started laughing and giggling to herself. Do you remember? Well, ABC News have just been caught actually publishing fake news, saying that this was showing an explosion and saying it was in Syria, and it was the Turks who were just wiping out the Kurds in this explosion. Oh, it's bad. Turns out it was footage from a shooting range in Kentucky. That's how bad the media are that laugh at me when I'm defending the best journalist ever to walk the planet. So I'd love it if she was there. I'll have a special interview with her. And honestly, I'm going to pull no punches, people. We need to get in these media's faces. If you're there, I want you to go up to the media, be polite and say, why have you been covering this so badly? Do you not care about the fourth estate? Do you not care about democracy? Do you know this man's life is at stake? Why have you been cheering on his torture for 8 years? Why? I want us all, every single supporter, to go up to them and shame them. They have got no spine. It will not take much to get the media to do a complete 180 and suddenly start reporting on this correctly. All they've got to do is just, People are in my face. They'll shit themselves. Trust me, I know them. I've met them. There is no backbone amongst them. So that's where I'll be on Monday. I'll be getting in their faces, and I hopefully you will too. Be calm, be polite, don't lose your cool. I'm talking to myself when I say that, not just you. Because I can be a bit volatile. So yeah, that is what's going to happen this weekend. I'm going down to Extinction Rebellion to cover that. Hopefully my coverage will be better than the last time. I wasn't happy with the coverage of my the Extinction Rebellion last time. It's one of the reasons why I think I backed out last weekend when I dropped my phone. It pissed me off. But I'm going to go down there this weekend, and I'm not the most outgoing person in the world. I'm not the most confident either, believe it or not. I'm a bit introverted. So for me, going up to speaking to groups of people, just introducing myself is a big thing. So I'm going to try and do that anyway. And then on Monday, I will have the Assange hearing to do, and I'll be back on Tuesday, hopefully, for a live stream. And that's the plan, everybody. That's what I plan on doing. I just wanted to go do a quick live stream just to say, hi everyone, this is what I'm going to do. So if you don't see me for a day or two, you'll know why. Just how many questions, for that matter, have any opposition MPs put to Boris Johnson about Assange? None. None of them. None of them. Chris Williamson has I think he's the only one who's been asking questions in the House of Commons. The only one. Yeah, he's the only one. None of the reporters have asked Boris Johnson anything. I can say that for sure. Unless they've done it and I haven't seen it, and I find that highly unlikely. Paul Dewhurst says, those of us who have to work to provide for our families don't need big kids blocking the road for our train lines. Here's the thing, Paul, right? What if in 20 years' time, half the country dies because of starvation? Because climate change runs away, etc., and we haven't thought about it. What if half the country dies because of starvation? Are you going to be complaining about those people holding up your train journey then? It is serious. I know there are lots of people out there that deny it's happening. It's not. It's happening. Now, whether man is at fault for this and man-made climate change is the cause of it, I've seen a lot of evidence to say otherwise. I've seen a lot of evidence to basically say, listen, burning fossil fuels at the rate the planet is kicking back and the climate is changing, honestly keep doing it, because the effect is like a fart in a hurricane. You know, I've seen a lot of, now I'm not saying either way, like I say, I don't know. But what I know is climate change is real, it's happening. This century, in our lifetimes, our lives are going to radically change, radically. Food will become an issue. We're very lucky in that if we're in America or the UK, that we're living in possibly the best places on the planet to live and the safest for us, but for other countries it's going to be disastrous. It sort of puts an upset train journey in context, doesn't it? So I understand if people are angry and upset at them, I do, but that's one of the reasons why I want to go down there and have a conversation with them and just to open up the dialogue, because I see a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, Paul, what you said, there's nothing wrong with what you said. Nothing wrong at all. I'm not coming down on you. You're perfectly entitled to that opinion. But what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try and open up the lines of communication and just have them speak to somebody who can, talk to them and just say what fears people have got, like yourself, but also fears from people who, think that this is just special interest trying to get us to pay for a carbon tax. If you look at the way it's going, like I say, I'll get down there and I'll speak to them. I'll have a conversation and we'll see. Gordon, keep defending Assange, but the media won't until he's dead and too late. Okay, I won't bother then. I'll just not bother calling the media out then. If it's pointless. They will. They will. The media will. We have got to make them. They are spineless. They will change their mind. They're spineless. All they've got to do is got to be a little bit afraid. Oh, shit. They'll change their mind. Already, George Monbiot has been changing his mind. I'm just going to get to the bottom of these messages and then I'll go, because I've got a lot to prepare for tomorrow. Bluebell says, I'm sick to death of people who aren't willing to get off their ass to do anything about climate or issues, whining about people who are. Again, that's another valid opinion, Bluebell. You know, there are value opinion. What I wish people would talk to each other more. I'm guilty of this as well, instead of flinging mud. But yeah, I get it. I get it. I'm upset with people who you know, say it's a travesty about Assange and then don't even write an email. So I get why your point of view there. Mark Lewis, we should be protesting factory farming methods, he says, fracking, GM foods, 5G, river and sea pollution. Catastrophic man-made climate change is a globalist establishment psyop on the masses, in my honest opinion. Catastrophic climate change, if you take man-made out of that sentence, you're wrong. But because you put man-made in, you might be right. But I get it. It certainly seems that way. And I will look into it with a video. I'm trying to get somebody on who can explain this more, because obviously there's a lot of science there that I can understand and I can break down, but I need to back it up with somebody who is, you know, got a PhD to his name, etc. So I'm trying to get somebody to come on and explain it more. But honestly, there's more to it than you're hearing from the TV. There's certainly more to it. No one is denying climate change, Gordon, but protesters don't get to dictate the rest of how we live our lives. Listen to Londoners, don't have a luxury to protest. Again, Paul, what would you like them to do? What sort of protest would you like them to do? What sort of protest would you think was acceptable? The sort of protest that doesn't cause any disruption? They'll ignore that. Do you see what I mean? They feel like they have to do something. What is it? What type of protest would be acceptable to you? Because they obviously have to protest, otherwise the government will do nothing on it. So what's acceptable? The type of protest that doesn't cause any disruption? Well, they'll ignore that. Like I say, I'm trying to see from both sides. I understand that you might think that, oh, I'm pushing back at you. Yeah, I am. But at the same time, when I get down on Saturday, I'll be pushing back at them at the Extinction Rebellion as well. I'm trying to learn to put myself in the middle and sort of be a mediator, if you like. Hopefully, it'll go well, and I won't look stupid and fall flat on my face. We'll see. But I get what you're talking about there. I get it's frustrating. It must be frustrating, especially, you know, if I was going down to my girlfriend's after not seeing her for 2 weeks and I was delayed because there's some geezers, I would be pissed off. You know, I would be pissed off. I don't get to see her enough. So Monbiot has dropped the Guardian line. No, he's gone. Monbiot has gone to the. I think he should go to Sweden to face charges. Blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, you dickhead, you've still got the story wrong, even though you're trying to be a good guy. I'll get into it. That's who I'm trying to get on, Mark Lewis. We have to protest about Assange because it's the right thing to do, says Carol Cassidy. We need to stop using all this plastic. We need to clean up our mess. We need to learn to live in harmony with our biosphere. I think every other mammal on the planet does it, but us. That's who I'm trying to get, guys. You keep naming him. I'm trying to find out the truth here. Remember this. That's all my aim is, the truth. That's all I try to do, is get to the truth. And that's what I'm trying to do. So if I'm not doing it in a way that's acceptable to you, don't just call me names. Call me out on it. Say, you know, send me an email. Say, you do better like this. I'm still learning, you know. I'm learning on the job. But I'm trying to get to the truth. And our media aren't. So somebody's got to do it. Yeah, I'm standing up to Assange. Says brilliant, wonderful. We are standing up for ourselves. If you can't get it, if you can't get there on Monday, okay, if you can't get there on Monday, before then, if you're in the UK, write to your MP. Write to your MP and protest our treatment of Julian Assange, protest his solitary confinement, etc. If you go to my website and you go to, I think, the About Me section, there's a drop down with my email that I sent. You could just copy that if you want and try to get them to support this early day motion. That's something you can do. And remember, the point of sending this letter is not to get them to sign on to the early day motion, although that would be wonderful. The point of sending the letter is because they must reply to you. MPs must reply to you, especially if you're in their constituency and you send your address to them. They know that they're a voting person that they represent. They have to reply to you. So the point of it isn't getting them on the record. A lot of these MPs are going to be ignorant to this. And if you educate them on it, point them to my videos, etc., then maybe we can get them change their mind. Maybe they will sign the early day motion, but certainly we can start getting them to be asking more questions than they are, because at the moment they're all tied up down there talking about the shiny keys that are Brexit. So write your email. Ask you if your mother or your family. I know somebody today sent me an email. I don't know whether he wants me to say his name, but he sent me an email saying that his mother is in Scotland and her MP is Jo Swinson, so he's going to get her to send a letter to get Jo Swinson on the record. It's about getting them on record, because I've probably got about 20 or 30 now. Thank you to everybody who sent me your letters that you've had from your MPs, because I'm seeing a pattern, and that's the reason why I want you to send it to me. I'm seeing a pattern, and they're bog standard. So I'll be able to write 2 or 3 responses, and you'll be able to pick and choose which one, and then, you know, send it back if you want. And I'm also finding that the Tories are all on message, that what they're saying is almost a copy paste of what they're all saying, and it's much better than what the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrat MPs are responding with, because they're responding with outright lies. My MP, Emma Reynolds, replied to me yesterday, finally, after 2.5 weeks, and she replied with 2 factual errors on the case. 2, of which I corrected her and basically berated her for not knowing about his situation, and said that this is the biggest threat ever in the history of ever for press freedom, and the fact that you're not jumping up and down tells me that Her Majesty's opposition don't care about freedom, free speech, freedom of the press, civil liberties, the rule of law, etc., you know. And then sent her another email saying, sorry for being so curt, but time is of the essence and you're not doing anything. Prove to me that you're on the right side of things here. So we'll see. I know you might think sending that email doesn't make a difference. It does. It's not just about getting them on record. It's about getting them on record. That's what it is. And I can put pressure on them. I can write stuff to put pressure on them that's factually true. I wouldn't necessarily be as sarcastic as I am in my emails. I can be quite abrupt. So that is something that you can do. If you can't get to there on Monday, all the details of how to send a letter, etc., you can find it in previous videos of mine, and on my Twitter as well. Yeah, so do something, please do something. Maybe speak to somebody else in your family about it as well and explain to them just why it's so important. One of the things I want to say to the Extinction Rebellion is one of your demands is tell the truth. That's one of your demands. Right now, we've got the best journalist ever in the world locked up in our Guantanamo Bay. Why aren't you all down there? Why aren't you all at Belmarsh? Because if they are hiding secrets, who would tell them this if they got leaked? Julian bloody Assange. If the secrets get leaked to the Times or the Guardian, how far do you think they're going to go? Nowhere. They're going to get suppressed and stifled by the editors, etc., aren't they? Who are in the pockets of their masters, the elite, who are serving the government. They are. This is why I say they're the government's PR companies. They're the elite PR companies. That's what they are. So I want to ask them this stuff at the Extinction Rebellion the weekend. We'll see. We'll see. "115 people here in the chat. The troll percentage proves the importance of Gordon's work. They fear him. Well done." Thanks, Oswhistle. You're a good man. You're a good man. "I'm no troll," says Buttoff, "but Gordo wants both sides of the story." Would you rather me only stick to one side of the story and give you a totally skewed view of reality? Okay. "The deniers must be seen to be opposed, otherwise we assume they are the majority." Yeah, to do that. Well, I can't I can't deal with this whole labelling everybody who has questions about this as a climate denier. I've seen that from a lot of people. Seen that. Botoff has just said nobody denies climate change. Go to my Twitter, mate. You'll find shitloads of them. There's going to be, put it this way, right? When I did my Open University course, I did a calculation on it. And my calculation was anywhere between, there was a margin of error, but it was somewhere between 9 and 11 degrees that the planet will heat up this century, according to the data that I looked at. It won't be that, I don't think. Mine was at the high end of the scale, but it could be. It really could. We don't know what Mother Nature. We don't know how things could run away, There's a line in a Chris Hedges article that he wrote in Truth Dig a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned it on a live stream. There's a line in it where he's talking about climate change, and there's just one line that sent a chill down my spine. I'm not kidding you. I read it and I thought, shit, this is Chris Hedges, This isn't Chris Hayes, this is Chris Hedges. And he was talking about climate change, and he said, there will be the people who deny it, and like Boris Johnson, and there will be false prophets. So you'll have jokers and you'll have false prophets. You'll have jokers like Boris Johnson who's denying it, and you'll have the false prophets who are saying they can save it. You can't. There will be mass death. That's the line. There will be mass death. We're probably going to see it in my lifetime. If I live long enough. Now I've stopped smoking, I might. It's chilling. And they're doing nothing, or seemingly doing nothing. If they are doing anything, it's behind closed doors, and they're keeping the public in the dark and feeding them on bullshit, treating them like mushrooms. This needs to be changed. This needs to be changed. That's what I'm going to try and do. When I go down there, I'm going to try and talk to them and open up dialogue, a conversation, and actually start speaking to people. Rather than just, blame them for this and that and the other, and how many arrests has there been. Look at this person getting arrested. Want to have a chat. So we'll see when I go down there. I'll get down there tomorrow afternoon, late afternoon. It's my train ride. The trains have been playing up. The tickets have doubled in the last couple of days, the prices, which sucks. So God knows what's going on there. That's the plan anyway. Going down there the weekend, going down there tomorrow. The court appearance for Assange on Monday, and then I'll be back on Tuesday, and I will be do a live stream. Gordon, please have a beer. You seem down, mate. Says Bing Bong, not there. All right, mate. Cheers. How are we going to grow food without insects? Don't worry, mate. We'll eat the insects before they go out of. Says Proud on. We'll eat the insects, mate. Okay, somebody's just said that here's the truth. Anonymous geoengineering and chemtrail experiments revealed by NASA. Yeah, that's the thing, Oz whistles. It was Chris Hedges. He knows what social breakdown looks like. I'm happy to believe him, he says. Yeah. I've seen the data. It's horrific. It's horrific. You only need to look at how animals are migrating. You only need to look at the freak weather events to know that something's fucking up. You know, we're having once in a century tornadoes every 4 years in America last year, didn't we? So you only need to look at that to know that something's changing. You only need to look at the fact that, hold on a minute, we've had the hottest years on record and it's warming up and it's warming up. Now, blaming it on fossil fuel. So here's my argument, and I've been trying to say this in a roundabout way on my channel for a year, and I haven't quite got the message over. But here's my argument with it. If they say that climate change is man-made, well, if it's man-made, right? If climate change is man-made and our reliance on fossil fuels is the problem, then why the fuck is our global reserve currency attached to the value of it? Why? Don't you think that's a bit stupid if that's the case? So that to me is a big giant red flag right there. Right there, it's a big giant red flag. It's like, I'll look into it. I'll speak to some people, and I'm not going to tell you shit that I don't know. I'm just not. But I will. I'll try to get the bottom of it for you. How do we learn what your email address is, says Kinky. Hi, Kinky. Thank you very much for your support. Just go to my website, gordondimmack.com. There's a contact me form on there. Just contact me, and gordon@gordondimmack.com is my email. Carbon neutral by 2025 is ridiculous, says Buttoff. Is it? What if it stops all the wars? It won't. We'll just need other resources, but they went to the moon in 10 years, mate. Shit, Bluebell says, I survived the largest tornado outbreak in history. My house was spared. My neighbour lost hers. Shit. My neighbour lost hers and my friend was killed. I'm sorry, Bluebell. They're going to get worse, they are. And the freak weather events are going to get worse. And you're going to see extremes on both ends of the spectrum. I'm not kidding, man. How does the magic CO2 produce more heat than the fire making it, says who cares? It's not about the production of the heat, mate. It's the makeup of the molecules. What the scientists say is that it traps heat because the CO2, you've got your carbon atom and your two oxygen atoms, and there's a link between them. And what they're saying is that when heat rises, if there's carbon in the atmosphere, the molecule vibrates and that traps the heat. Now, that's what they sold me on anyway, when I did my Open University course. Nobody's explained how much it traps though, and how that, there's a tenuous link there, so to speak. So it's not about it producing more heat. It's about the molecule, the CO2, the carbon with the two oxygen, the molecule. It's about that trapping the heat that is and not allowing it to get out the atmosphere. I'm just getting down to the bottom of the... Yeah. Well, at the bottom of the comments. Thanks very much for tuning in, everybody. I haven't got any stories for you in this stream, but I didn't want to just go down. I wanted to explain to you what I'm doing, because I remember that I am answerable to you, because you are my support. You're the people who fund me. I don't get much from YouTube in advertising, etc. So I wanted to explain to my bosses what I'll be doing for the next 4 days. Before I know I've got to get this place tidy for when I come back, and that's it. I'm going to get back to work. Right, everybody, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I'll try and do my best the weekend. I really will. I'm really going to try. Like I say, I'm not the most outgoing person in the world, so I'm probably going to have my girlfriend kicking my ass to get me doing this and talking. But once I'm talking to people, I should be okay. It's just that initial, the initial sort of hi, I'm Ed Winchester, that sort of thing. I'm going to try and do it the weekend. Hopefully, I'll make you proud. Hopefully, you'll see an angle of reporting at the Extinction Rebellion that you haven't seen, which is actual journalism. And that's what I try and do. Thanks very much, everybody. I'll do what I can over the next 4 days. Please send that email if you haven't already. And if you've had a reply, please reply if you can. Take that, and if you haven't sent it to me, and I'm gonna probably Tuesday when I get back. In fact, on Tuesday, that's what I will do in the live stream. I'll collate all the emails that people have sent me over the weekend, and on Tuesday I'll reply and I'll say, if they say this, then I would say this, and I'll try and put some sort of templates together on my website for you to reply to them. Sound good? That's a plan. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a beer's first size bing bong, and I'm going to, mate. Peace, everyone. Love you all. Support independent media. We're the ones giving you the truth. Take care. Have a good weekend, and I shall see you all Saturday is when I shall see you next. Peace. Come say hello. Come say goodbye. Come on. Ellie says goodbye. Do you like a bandana? She looks cool. See you, everyone. Take care.